The average NBA game takes place in front of 18,000 people, 30 TV cameras, and as many as 30 million people watching at home. It's safe to say that nothing on the court goes unnoticed, and over the years, there have been pretty strange moments captured on film. Here's some of the weirdest moments and funniest highlights ever seen in the NBA. Draymond Green. Draymond Green is a controversial player. You either love him or you hate him. Among Warriors fans, he's one of the most popular players on the team, but among NBA fans around the country, he's one of the most disliked. Green is from Saginaw, Michigan, and was drafted by the Warriors in 2012 after making 2 Final Four appearances with Michigan State. A scrappy power forward known for his aggressive play style, Green began making a reputation for himself right away. On Christmas Day in 2013, not long after the end of his rookie season, Green got ejected for elbowing Blake Griffin. He was also fined $15,000. According to the NBA, the fine was because Green failed to leave the court in a timely manner. Throughout his career, accepting referees' calls has been something Draymond has struggled to do in either a timely or an understanding manner. While becoming a key player in the Warriors dynasty and winning 3 rings, Green has also become the team's leader in technical fouls. In fact, Draymond has led the entire league in technical fouls twice, in 2016 and in 2019. Even in the years where he didn't lead the league, Green has still always been in the top 10. Most of the time, Green's technicals and ejections have come only after he commits a normal foul and gets angry about it. However, sometimes it has been the foul itself that has gotten Green in trouble. No example is more infamous or more shocking than during the 2016 Western Conference Finals when Green adopted a new and vicious strategy against Steven Adams.
And that's the second time that Green and, let's say...
This is far from the only time Green has made such a, let's say, personal attack. In fact, he even did it to Steven Adams again during that same series. Later that postseason, Green went after the king himself. During Game 4 of the NBA Finals in Cleveland, LeBron James and Draymond Green crossed paths near center court. What happened next went viral.
Swing that misses after he objected to James stepping over him. The conversation continued, the bumping and shoving, and there's the double foul call by Danny Crawford. Double foul does not result in any free throws. Obviously, each player picks up a personal.
Green once again tried to hit his opponent where it hurts the most. LeBron wasn't injured, but the NBA suspended Green for 1 game. During the finals, this 1-game absence was extremely costly. The Warriors went on to blow a 3-1 deficit and gave Cleveland their first and only championship. Draymond has drawn widespread criticism for his behavior. Despite this, he seems unwilling to admit he's doing anything wrong. In 2016, the problem became so apparent that the league office started discussing how they should respond. Green was dismissive, saying, "It's funny how you can tell me how I get hit and how my body's supposed to react. I didn't know the people in the league office were that smart." In Draymond's defense, he isn't the only player to do this. While it was less noticed at the time, back in 2009, Kobe Bryant did something quite Draymond-esque during the NBA Finals as well. Game 2 of the 2009 NBA Finals was held in LA at the Staples Center. The Lakers were up against a young Dwight Howard and the Orlando Magic. At one point, during the fast break, Howard went up for a dunk on Kobe. However, instead of trying to block Howard, Kobe, well, watch what he does.
These are the worst fast breaks I've ever seen run.
Howard, and there it is, his first dunk of these finals. It took him until the 3rd quarter of Game 2.
The fact that Kobe wasn't even called for a foul is impressive. Howard wasn't injured, but by the look of Kobe's swing, he could have easily been. In fact, it's surprising he wasn't. It's not clear what Kobe was thinking, but in any case, he got away with it and the Lakers went on to defeat the Magic in 5 games. Marcelo Huertas. It's rare that in today's NBA, a new and innovative approach to the game will come along. Players like Steph Curry, who transform the way the game is played, are once in a generation, if that. When they do come along, they usually become superstars and are globally recognized for their contributions. However, this is not the case with Marcelo Huertas. There are some who would argue that Huertas is underrated when it comes to basketball innovation. Marcelo played in the NBA for just 2 seasons as a backup guard for the LA Lakers, starting in 2015 and ended in 2017. This was a slow period in Laker history. The team failed to make the playoffs in either season, and Kobe Bryant retired in the middle of Huertas' career. Despite a lack of glory in his short-lived NBA career, Huertas did manage to garner some attention for his highlights, which were both innovative and unusual. This may have had something to do with his unique background. Huertas was born and raised in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Sao Paulo, Brazil is the 4th largest city on earth and a major hub for sports as well. Huertas got his start playing in the local youth league, but he ended up going to high school in Texas and playing for the varsity team at Coppell High School just outside Dallas. As a foreigner and the new kid at school, Huertas likely had to work harder than other kids to make a name for himself on the team, but he did. Huertas played well enough to continue his basketball career professionally. In 2004, He signed a contract to play in the EuroLeague, which he did for the next 10 years. It wasn't until 2015 that Huertas finally got offered a contract to play in the NBA. On September 9, 2015, he signed with the Lakers. It was during this brief period with the Lakers that Huertas' creative playstyle got wider recognition. His passing in particular had opponents reeling and fans falling over backwards. There was one player in particular, however, that stood out from the rest. Late in the 2016 season, the Miami Heat were in Los Angeles. The Heat were third in the Eastern Conference that year and heavily favored to win over the last-place Lakers, but the game ended up going into overtime. Somehow, the Lakers managed to edge out a 2-point victory over Miami. At one point during the game, following a missed free throw by Lou Williams, Huertas unleashed what is possibly the greatest trick in basketball history. Instead of standing in the backcourt during Williams' free throws, Huertas ran out of bounds. Somehow, he managed to crouch behind none other than Erik Spoelstra, the head coach of the opposing team. How this went unnoticed in an arena full of people watching is a mystery for the ages. Goran Dragic dribbles right past both Spoelstra and the hiding Huertas without noticing a thing. Huertas had to time his attack perfectly to avoid being seen, and amazingly, it worked. One could argue this is also the easiest and cleanest steal in NBA history. Dragic had literally no idea Huertas was behind him. It's safe to say nothing remotely like this had ever happened before, and it's unlikely it'll ever happen again. Say what you want about Marcelo Huertas, but he certainly managed to make the most of his brief NBA career. Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant earned a spot on this list by injuring himself in a very strange way. Basketball is unfortunately a game prone to injuries, but most of the time, injuries happen when players collide with each other or fall under the hoop. Durant somehow managed to injure his Achilles with no one around him, while jogging back on defense. This is something every player, including Durant, does dozens of times every game. Why this particular time was he suddenly struck by a serious injury? Nobody knows the answer, but many, most of all Durant, would probably love to know. Durant ended up re-injuring the same Achilles later during the NBA Finals in Toronto, this time tearing it. Most NBA critics think there's a good chance this cost the Warriors their third consecutive title. If you thought that was weird, get ready for this next one. Minnesota Timberwolves. It's one thing if an individual player makes a bonehead mistake during the game. It's another thing when the entire team makes the same mistake at the same time. One of the strangest events in all of team sports came during LeBron James' time with the Miami Heat. The Heat were in Minnesota and heavily favored to rout the Timberwolves, which they proceeded to do. Late in the fourth quarter, with a 14-point lead, LeBron scored an and-one layup on Malcolm Lee. One of the most basic rules in all of basketball is that, following an and-one layup, the player gets one free throw instead of two. Of course, that's where the term and-one comes from. But somehow, the entire Minnesota roster forgot about this rule at the same time. In fact, so did Chris Bosh and Joel Anthony on the Heat. The only person on the floor who hadn't suddenly forgotten was LeBron himself. This is a rule that would be strange if even one NBA player forgot. To see an entire team forget all at once is just downright bizarre. In fact, number 19 Wayne Ellington even appears to forget halfway through the play, stopping in the middle of the key and suddenly looking confused. Why this happened is anybody's guess. It seems almost paranormal. All that can be said for sure is it was caught on camera, and it's definitely one of the weirdest moments in NBA history. David West and Tristan Thompson. As the old saying goes, there's a fine line between love and hate. Whether intentionally or not, David West and Tristan Thompson created something of a tribute to this old age wisdom during the 2017 NBA Finals. A fight broke out between West and Thompson late in the second quarter of Game 4. Thompson appeared to be defending his teammate Kyrie, who had just scuffled with West over a rebound. Thompson and West clearly had some choice words to exchange with each other, and while it isn't known what was said between them, the slow motion replay was what caught people's attention. All anybody could think was how odd the whole exchange ended up looking. Chances are good that neither West nor Thompson were even aware of what happened until looking at the footage afterwards. J.R. Smith, Tristan Thompson, and David West all received technical fouls after the play. This wasn't the last time David West would receive a technical foul in unusual circumstances. The following year, the Warriors were in San Antonio. West reportedly left the bench to go ride the exercise bike near the tunnel. For some reason, the referee blew the whistle and West was issued a technical foul. To this day, nobody from Golden State or anybody else knows why this happened. Perhaps some players are just prone to strange occurrences.